What are the inklings about potentially trading away Crosby as of today?
Well, here's where we are today, Laura. I think that there have been teams waiting and wondering if the Raiders would move Maxx Crosby. There are any number of teams lined up, ready to make an offer, who have made offers for Maxx Crosby, but the Raiders are not in any rush to get something done, at least as of now. Could that change on Monday when the legal tampering period opens? Sure. Could it change this weekend? Sure. It could change any time. But there have been teams that have been putting forth offers, and the Raiders have been very patient. They insist that they're not going to do something unless they get the price that they want, whether it's from Chicago or Dallas or Baltimore. What I think is interesting here, everybody's wondering if there'll be an A.J. Brown trade. Well, if there does happen to be an A.J. Brown trade, that then could free up money and give the Eagles added draft pick compensation to where maybe they could be a player for Maxx Crosby. There is still a lot that's going to unfold here in the days to come, and these situations can change rather quickly. Just when you think you might have a situation figured out, they sometimes make sharp turns and go in way different directions than people expect. And so, again, the Raiders are slow playing this. Everybody wants an answer. Everybody's waiting for an answer. The Raiders are in no rush, have been in no rush, to get a Maxx Crosby deal done. It doesn't mean they won't. There still is a feeling that they possibly will. But again, nothing close or imminent at this time.
Okay, wait a second, Adam, because I know you pretty well. You bring up A.J. Brown and that timeline. There's something. So what's
going on in Philadelphia?
What's the deal there? A.J. Brown, let's say that timeline somehow gets going a little faster, and then they've got the capital to potentially go get Maxx Crosby. What's going on?
Well, again, a lot of these situations depend on one another, and I think there has been a school of thought all along that the Eagles would keep A.J. Brown, but it seems like those trade winds just keep blowing, and they haven't quieted down. And so it's certainly possible here that before the new league year begins that the Eagles could deal A.J. Brown. It doesn't mean they will, Laura. It doesn't mean they will. We've gone back and forth on this a few times. But let's just operate in a world in which the Eagles do move A.J. Brown. If that does happen, all of a sudden, the Eagles have added draft capital. They have added flexibility. So if that happens, as creative and as thoughtful as the Eagles have been, all of a sudden they certainly could be a player in the Maxx Crosby sweepstakes. It doesn't mean they will. We're just going through all the machinations and possibilities, and that's certainly within the realm of options that's out there at this time. There's a lot of things that could happen. There's a lot of things we're all waiting to happen, but it certainly feels like the A.J. Brown trade talk, if anything, seems to be picking up rather than dying down. Ooh. And we'll see, of course, how that unfolds here in the days to come.
I love these machinations. Thank you, Adam, for all of that. We're going to stew on that here. Kevin, as you hear that, and maybe as A.J. Brown could relate to all of this, specifically, do you think now is the time for the Raiders to move on from Maxx Crosby?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this in the last couple of months, and I've come to the conclusion that the Maxx Crosby era in Vegas has run its course. He had the highest double-team rate of his career last year, over 30%. He had his lowest pressure rate because of that, because offenses are able to key in on him because there's not a lot of talent there in Vegas. They're not going to win a lot this year, few years. I just think he deserves to play on Sunday Night Football. Huge games for a contender. Get some trade value now, sell high.
Look, I would agree. I think the time is now as well. When you look at, where the Raiders are, they're rebuilding. They're picking number one in the draft, and they're going to take a quarterback. And I think that, there's sometimes a feeling that, you be careful. Like you're going to draft a quarterback. Looks like he's going to play right away. How bad is the team that he's going to? Do you want to throw him into that situation? And I think it's fair to look at a couple of situations. Like Caleb Williams was drafted. They weren't very good his rookie year, albeit that roster probably better than most for a number one pick. Drake May was drafted in the first round, pretty high in the first round. He went to kind of what a lot of people would say was, a pretty deficient team in terms of talent across the board on both sides of the ball his rookie year. Well, both of those quarterbacks were able to kind of get guys around him, over a year's time, improve that football team, and the teams and the quarterbacks made huge strides. So I do think that when you're looking at, where the Raiders are, they're not close. And so moving Crosby, building for the future around your young quarterback just seems like from a team building perspective, an eye towards the future, it just makes the most sense.
Yeah, Tim, here's what teams are wrestling with right now. Maxx Crosby, the Raiders want a premier package for him. He's a premier player. This is not a salary dump. This is a top 5 to 6 edge rusher. They need serious draft capital to make this trade happen. Well, teams want to be in on this. I know Dallas, for one, is definitely in on this, but can they get to the point where the Raiders are comfortable? Is that 2 first-round picks and a player? Will teams go that far when he's 28 years old? Micah Parsons, when that trade got done, he was 24 years old. So a little bit of a different situation. I love that Adam brought up the Eagles because I feel like they have 6 different balls in the air right now. They're trying to re-sign Jalen Phillips, but he might hit free agency. So do they pivot to a Maxx Crosby? Jonathan Grenard with Minnesota. I believe they've kicked the tires on that situation. And then they got Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in the inside of the defensive line that they would like to re-sign. So it feels like something's going to happen with Philadelphia that doesn't even include A.J. Brown right now.
Insiders just throwing the tea leaves out there for us. I love this.
Yeah, we'll continue to keep that going here. Don't go anywhere here on NFL Live. We got it all for you. Let's get to some more top stories. Tons of news flying around the NFL, right? Adam, let's start with the latest on Cam Curl.
Well, the Los Angeles Rams have had a busy week, especially in their defensive secondary, trading for Trent McDuffie and now signing free agent to be safety Cam Curl to a 3-year, $36 million deal that includes $24 million guaranteed. He made a lot of big plays for the Rams last season, and he now will stay in Los Angeles and continue to try to make big plays. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions asked Taylor Decker to rework his contract, take a lower salary. He declined, rejected their advances, and today they announced that he's being released. And this essentially came when he refused to renegotiate his contract. So Taylor Decker becomes a free agent, and there is a team in that division that does need a left tackle in Chicago. And earlier today, quite a confusing situation. Rashawn Gary allegedly posted on Instagram a goodbye to Green Bay. He later said his account was hacked, and that wasn't him. He deleted the post. The Packers, meanwhile, say that they have not taken any action with Rashawn Gary and that all options remain on the table, including a potential release. So it was a very 2026 social media-driven story where there was an announcement that allegedly was a hack that was deleted, but yet there's noise out there that Rashawn Gary could be had and might not be in Green Bay. Somebody said goodbye. Somebody used his image. Somebody came up with a very thoughtful message, but apparently he was just hacked.
Hackers.
Just hacked here. And now we'll wait to see how that Rashawn Gary situation plays itself out over the course of the next week.
Anytime people are talking about a hack, I just always feel like hack. So I don't know.
Very thoughtful hackers. Good
Thoughtful.
with graphics.
I'm going to put in a press release and just slide it into this account.
I was hacked. Okay.
Yeah.
We're just getting started on NFL Live. Houston has made some major moves so far this offseason. Kevin says they still have a huge problem, though, looming for C.J. Stroud. Stick around. He'll tell you more about that. You don't want to miss it. Plus, the Bears have freed up more cap space after trading DJ Moore to the Bills. Tim tells us why this was an A-plus trade and what's the next move for Chicago. We'll talk about that and so much more. Oh, look at that. More options. I like it. We'll be right back in just a minute.